Whew, it has been an eventful week, to say the least. Or I should say it's been an eventful 7 days. But if you're watching this, just know that you don't always have to pay attention to that stuff. You do have to stay informed, but there's always distractions for everything. This is just me rambling in the beginning. It's not a crime to want to step away from that stuff every now and then. You don't always have to be subjected to these types of things that you see in the news and stuff like that. You do, have to have some kind of awareness, but just know that you don't have to stress yourself out about these things, that some things you can do nothing about in the moment. So sometimes you just gotta unplug. I just felt like I needed to say that. Everybody's sanity levels, I'm sure, have been pretty high lately, so I just wanted to say that. So what's good, y'all? Sean the Great here, and today, I just want to talk a little bit about a movie that I saw a few days ago, actually. Today is Wednesday. It is September the 17th, and I saw it 2 days ago, so it's the 15th, so Monday. After I got off work, I went to go see it. I went to go see the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie. So this is part one. If y'all didn't know, there is 3 parts of this movie coming out. There's a lot of people that didn't know there was 3 parts coming out. So here to say 3-part movie or 3-part saga, film saga, something like that. I have some things to say about it. First of all, I was on the fence of kind of watching it, because I have kind of some thoughts about Demon Slayer as a whole, when it comes to like the series. Never read the manga, right? I've never read the manga. I feel like I missed that train at some point. I think it stopped. The manga ended, I think, maybe like 2022, maybe, possibly 2021, something like that, a few years ago. And I wasn't really too keen on it, right? Like, I started watching the anime not as soon as it dropped. The anime, I think, started in like 2019. There was the first season that was like 24 episodes. And I watched it. I thought, it was okay. There were some highlights for me, but it just didn't hit as hard for me like it did for everybody else. I think everybody else really liked it, but I just wasn't really. At this point, I'd been watching a lot of anime. That was back when I was watching like a new episode of something like every day. Like, it was back-to-back stuff I was watching episodes for. It was old stuff, new stuff. I stayed up to date. I stayed pretty up to date with that stuff. When I heard about Demon Slayer, I picked it up. I binge watched the series because it had already been finished, I think, by that time. And I thought it was okay. The first season was pretty solid. Although I was kind of leaning on it not being for me. So when I got to the end, I was just like, maybe I'll tune into the second season. Right? So this is a timeline, basically, right? This is a timeline. This is what this is. 2019, I watched the entire series, 24 episodes. I'm just like, okay, it was all right. Maybe I'll tune into the next season. Then it's announced that a movie is coming out. The first movie in Demon Slayer, which was Demon Slayer Infinity Train, right? Now, this was a little bit after the pandemic, right? Of course. I think the movie came out in the 4th quarter of 2020. That sounds about right. I think originally it came out in 2020. And I think the actual like release to the States was like in like the 1st quarter of 2021, if I remember correctly. So it took me a while to actually watch it. Matter of fact, I didn't watch it when it came out in theaters. I actually waited until it came out on Crunchyroll as the part of the whole, like, bundled up, like, where they split it up into episodes, and it was included in the same season as the Entertainment District arc, which was season 2, basically. So, but I've seen clips here and there of the movie, and I finally got around to seeing it, and it's actually a pretty solid anime film. I'm not too big on anime films. Let me get that out the way. I don't know why it takes me so long to watch anime movies. I love One Piece. I have not seen a single One Piece film. I've watched every episode. I've watched One Piece twice. 2 times. Front and back. Have never seen a movie. I'm going to fix that, hopefully before the end of this year. That just means I have more stuff to watch from One Piece, which I love that. Same with Naruto. I've watched Naruto. It took me a while to watch the Naruto movies. And there's a bunch of other stuff that has movies that I haven't seen. I haven't seen some of the Bleach films either, and I love Bleach. But I digress. Anyways, I didn't watch it in theaters, but I waited for it to be chopped up into like episodes, and what I will say is, Ufotable, every time they step up to the plate and they kill it every time, right? It's Ufotable. We know what they're gonna do. They did great things with the Fate series that they did work on, and all that good stuff. But anyways, yeah. And then the Entertainment District arc came out. To this day, the Entertainment District arc is still my favorite part of the entire series. Like, my favorite season. Season 2, my favorite part. Like, it does everything in a way that makes it seem like an entirely different series, right? I really loved it, and I was locked into every episode that came out. So that happened. There was a big climax at the end. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I really love season 2. So season 2 came out bundled with Infinity Train at the beginning. Hopefully I didn't say Infinity Castle. If I did, I meant to say Infinity Train. Infinity Train got chopped up into episodes before Entertainment District arc and put together in one season 2 package. That was 2021. I want to say 2022 was season 3. Maybe not. There might have been a year before we got the next season. So maybe 2023. The 3rd season came out. That was the Swordsmith Village arc, right? And we learned a little bit more about more of the Hashira, which I'm glad that we've learned. They gave us a chance to learn more about the Hashira, and everybody got a chance to like work with them and everything. I think that one was pretty solid. I think it was, it wasn't, I don't think it was up to the standards of season 2, mind you, but it was still a good season, right? Still a good season. I enjoyed it, and everything like that. And season 4 came out last year. Season 4 was the Hashira training arc, right? That was the arc where they're all preparing to, from Muzan to come through and, wreck everything. And, I think that was probably the weakest out of all of the seasons so far. That's how I feel about it. And I feel other things, but I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, season 4 was definitely the weakest part of the series to date. And now we are here. The opening weekend for Demon Slayer has officially passed us by. And the movie was great. The movie was great, solid, beginning to end. There was a lot of things that I really liked. Action, really action heavy. That is what people wanted, I think. At least that's what I wanted. I was waiting for it to get more action heavy, because I think we had season 3 and 4 come and go. Season 3, I think, was pretty action heavy, like towards the very end. And season 4, we didn't really get any action until like the last episode, right? Not everybody's favorite season, I think, because of that. On top of that, season 4 was only like 8 episodes, so it's another problem within itself. But very action heavy. I think a bit of emotional weight. Now, I do have a bigger concern for the series on how it treats its cast in such a short time, right? So if I remember correctly, Demon Slayer's a manga, I think, is only like 200 something chapters, maybe less than that, if we're not counting the epilogue, which we have to count that technically. There's a lot that happens, and there are certain characters that we don't really get much of a backstory on until they're about to die. So, by the way, spoilers if you didn't know. Spoiler alert. It's a lot of action. The beginning hits the ground running straight from like the season 4, where season 4 ended. It picks up immediately. They're still falling. They're trying to get their bearings and everything. The castle's moving around, blah blah blah, and the fights start immediately. They're all fighting the demons, and the Hashira are trying to figure out where they are and everything like that. It's very, I think, what was needed, because we didn't get that in season 4, of course, because that was a training arc, which I feel like that training arc didn't go on nearly as long as it probably needed to, because I don't know, I feel like they kind of went in unprepared to some degree. But I digress. We go to all the different Hashira and all the different segments of like the Infinity Castle, and yeah, there's like a few things that happen. We cross paths with some lower demons, and then they catch up with like Akaza, and might I say Tanjiro versus Akaza versus what's his name, Giyu, I think that's like, obviously that's like the best part of the entire like movie. There's a lot that happens with them. Now, I think I have, so anyways, there's, and then we pan to other folks that are having their separate battles, like Zenitsu. Zenitsu does a great job, and then we have Shinobu, and here's my problem with Demon Slayer, right? So my big issue with Demon Slayer is there's a lot of material, a lot of things that happens in a very short amount of time, with not enough time to flesh things out, right? What I mean by that is we tend to get a lot thrown at us at once. Like, we get the fight scenes, and then we get the entire backstory thrown at us instantly. And I don't mind backstories, especially when I watch stuff like One Piece, right? You know, heavy hitting backstories is One Piece's bread and butter, you know. But with Demon Slayer, it still hits hard. It still hits, I'll say. But it just, I don't know. We don't get enough time spent with some of these characters, like that are supposed to be on like the good side of things, right? For like a good example is like the Hashira. We have not seen them fight as a team one time, and we probably never will. Just as a heads up, I haven't read the manga, but I don't think we're gonna get a Hashira team up. I could be wrong. I probably have to go back and watch or read the manga, but that team up's not happening anytime soon. Because it's just there's a lot that happens and they're always apart from each other. You know, that's just one of my pet peeves with the series. There's just a lot that's thrown at the characters, and they have to adapt and adjust, which I think is like, I think they do that on purpose, obviously, to show them, you know, overcoming their hardships and, you know, overcoming the barriers that they might hit in battle, you know. But they do end up dying. A lot of folks just end up dying, and there's that. I think the world of Demon Slayer could be so much broader, or not even broader, but I just feel like there's so much that we don't get from Demon Slayer that we could get. I feel like there's a lot of wasted potential with characters sometimes. Shinobu, we don't really see her fight all that much. It's a very rare thing to see Shinobu fight. Very rare thing to see her fight. We don't really see the others as far as like the Hashira fight for real. Like certain ones, like we've only met over this time, we've met like half of them and spent plenty of time with half of them, but the other half didn't really fight, didn't really see them fight or anything like that. I think Demon Slayer is I think enjoyable as long as you kind of turn your brain off and everything like that. It's not an overly deep series, like a lot of shonen series. You know, it's, you know, it is what it is. I just hate that the climax for me, maybe not for everybody else, but for me, the climax was Entertainment District season 2, right? There was like a lot going on in season 2 that I feel like none of the rest of the series could get right. The humor was, you know, was kind of touch and go for a lot of the series. I think parts are pretty funny, but I feel like they did it infinitely better in season 2, right? I feel like a lot of the pacing of season 2 was really good, actually. I think that's what it is. The pacing of season 2 was really good. You had comedy, you had some action, you had some suspense, thrillers, you know, all of that stuff happening. It was like you can feel like the stakes being high, right? You kind of felt that in season 3, and in some parts of season 4. Season 4, the risk kind of falls off, and then it picks back up again, like at the very end of the series. And it's just like, at that point, you know, it's at that point, where it's just like, okay, well, we're starting the last arc, so this is it. This was the last like funny ha-has that we would have. But season 2, Entertainment District Arc just deserves all the praise because I feel like it was done in a, they did that well. That was paced very well. Yeah, I don't know if it's like that in the manga or if it was paced like that in the anime. It's probably more the former, where the manga, it's only so much you can do. But yeah, that's how I feel about Demon Slayer. I think it'll have like its own little legacy. Demon Slayer's obviously done crazy numbers over the past like 5 years. Like Infinity Train, I'm pretty sure was like the highest grossing animated film, if not the highest grossing film of all time in Japan. And now Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is the highest grossing animated film of all time or something like that. It was like number 4, like right as it was coming out, like I think a few months ago when it came out in Japan. But it just kept topping things. It just kept getting like bigger and better, and ticket sales was going crazy, and that was just in Japan, mind you. So of course when it officially came out in America last week, naturally, then that was going to get even better. So, yeah. So I mean, Demon Slayer is not number shy. It does big numbers, especially when it comes to the theater. Same for the anime. It's probably and it's not even that it's kid friendly. It's hardly kid friendly. What I will say, it's like it is a safer anime to get into. Not gonna say it's kid friendly, but it's a safer anime to get into than others. And it's not a lot of risk taken. Like obviously there's stakes and stuff like that, but there's certain things that it is what it is. It's a very short. It's a short series. A short shonen series. Have I enjoyed the ride? I think so. I wish there was more time to enjoy it though, because I feel like it's ending, or it ended too soon. I should say it ended too soon, because this is what we're getting. They're adapting everything. It's not Ufotable's fault, But if I had read the manga, I probably would have been like, oh dang, it's already ending, It's like one of the only shonen like that like been currently running that doesn't have any time skip or anything like that. Not saying it has to have one. I guess it's not the only one, but I feel like even when you go back to stuff like Hunter x Hunter, which is still running to this day, but apparently from what they've received, it's really good. The chapters that are out, it's really good from what I've heard. I haven't picked up the manga in a while, but there's that, and then I'm reading Dan and Dan right now. There's not exactly a time skip. I don't know if there's gonna be. I don't know where the story's gonna end either. So anyways, yeah. So that's kind of. I just wanted to rant about Demon Slayer for a little bit because I feel like I want to enjoy it more than I have been. If that makes any sense. I've been enjoying it, but I wish I had enjoyed it more. So yeah, let me know if y'all watched the movie yet, or if y'all going to, or if you're even a fan of Demon Slayer, if you read the manga, if you watch the anime, if you're currently catching up on it, let me know down in the comments. and how you feel about Demon Slayer as a whole. And yeah, with that being said, like the video, leave a comment. I'm trying to be more active on this channel now. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, I will see y'all in the next one. Thanks for listening. So I put it kinda like a player do, but